of my mainframe. My blood's boiling, it's beating out propane. My train of thoughts more like a runaway train. I'm in a fast car, driving in the fast lane. In the rain, and I might just hydroplane. I don't fear none of my enemies, and I don't fear bullets from Uzis. I've been dealing with something that's worse than these. I'm making fall to your knees, and that's the anxiety, sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety, sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety. My head keeps running away, my brother. The only thing making me stay, my brother. But I won't give in to it, bro. Gotta get myself back now. God, I can't let my mind be tied. My enemy is my own. Got to find my inner wealth. Grasp a hold of my thoughts. I can't get caught. I can't give into it now. Emotions are trapped, sitting on lock. Got my brain stuck, going through the motions. Only I know what's up. I'm filled up with pain, try to gain my sanity. Everywhere I turn, it's a dead end in front of me. With nowhere to go, gotta shake this anxiety. Got me feeling strange, paranoia took over me, and it's weighing me down. And I can't run any longer, y'all, knees to the ground. I don't fear none of my enemies, and I don't fear bullets from Uzis. I've been dealing with something that's worse than these. I'm making fall to your knees, and that's the anxiety, sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's run me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety, sane and the insane rivalry. Paranoia's brought me to my knees. Lord, please, 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 take away my anxiety.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Special Media. My name is Special Ed, and tonight we got round number 7 of the MXL Pro World Championship. This is going to be a great race. One of my favorite tracks that's been brought to us, and also really cool that Rico kind of brought this into kind of the World Championship. It is a very gnarly track, a lot of ruts, a lot of braking bumps, some big elevation, some decent sized jumps, and definitely going to be testing these riders to see if they're able to navigate their way through a gnarlier track. Over here on the my side or the broadcast side, we're just getting loaded on in. So give us just a moment here and we'll kick things on down to our track cameras. As always, huge shout out to everybody that's all a part of this. All of the MXL, TPR, AB Customs, THV, CBS, VM Visuals, as well as Club MX. Huge shout out to all of those guys. They support us all the way through everything since we started. So big shout out to all of those guys. What is going on, Cam? Welcome on in. Appreciate the follow. All the follows, all the subs, everything that you guys do for us is a huge thank you. And always, once again, can't thank you guys enough for all the support that we've had throughout, almost years at this point. So huge shout out to all of you guys. But once again, we're going to be kicking things on here in just a second, just getting a few things dialed in before we head down to our track cameras. All right, let's take a look here. Just make sure. Uh-oh. Controller is not registering. That is never a good sign. Let's see what we can do here. Give me 1 second. Well, once again, as always, a huge shout out to the whole MXL crew. These guys put on such a phenomenal show for us each and every week. These guys, they keep going every year. They keep making it bigger and better. And this year has been none but great. Obviously, the championship battle that's been going on between our number 1 and number 2 spots of Kozak and Rax has been phenomenal. Obviously, some other riders in the mix, though, that have all been very strong contenders. Obviously, Willie being one of those guys. Ethan, Brad, KFC, a whole bunch of guys. Hockey, a lot of fast guys all in this mix. If you guys have missed any of the previous rounds, this round is going to be a gnarly one as we head out to Russia. Not a very common track that you might not recognize right off the bat, but you guys, I think, are going to fall in love with it as, once again, this track is built on the side of a hill. The side of the hill obviously brings in all that natural terrain. On top of that, just being very rough and rutted. Should be a great ride and great race for us here tonight. Let's kick things on down to our track cameras as we get ready to go racing here in just a few minutes. Once again, a few riders to be looking out for. Willie, Kozak, Frontera, great qualifying, I believe, here today. We're going to take a look at some qualifying times. They were pretty close. We had three riders up inside our 132s. Kozak being the fastest qualifier here today. So that is going to be a good one to be keeping an eye out for. Ricky Bobby or also Rax in that number 2 spot, just a few tenths of a second off of him with a 132.7, a 132.9 brought in by Hockey. So he is in that number 3 spot. Those, I do believe, are 1, 2, and 3 in the championship. So it's good to see that all 3 of those riders are looking good here tonight. We also have Zeke, Toxic, Brad, Willie, Prizzy, Stargame, and Ethan are all going to be our top 10 qualifiers here today. And also, I think we do have it, if we can find them, Rax somewhere around here. And this is probably him right here on the Cowie here today. So taking a little bit of a different route. Even though this championship is kind of on the line, he is going to be trying out some new bikes and seeing what he can get done. Strider, what is going on, brother? How are we doing, man? It's been a while. Good to see you on in here. Also kind of taking a look at some of our names on our list. We did have Chase from the LLR team in 11th. KFC, Vixnev, Dark, Coltrane, Transcend out of these guys. Brother, you didn't put them in drag and drops. You gotta put them in drag and drops. Otherwise... Hockey Drew? Not quite sure. I don't necessarily recognize the name, but I guess it is very possible. But once again, we do have a few names in here. Rico from that MXL FXR crew. Suey in here. Carter, Ethan, Max. Yes, sir. Strider's ready to watch some of this. Go to the track so you can make me admin. Yeah, but doesn't that take a spot away? I can. Or, well, we're going to see. All right. Went to track. You know what that means, guys. So if we see any cuts or anything, we're going to actually have the ability to manage the race ourselves. So some people call it commenter's curse. I call it commenter's power. 10 gifted subs and we'll boot anybody you want. For any of you that might try to do that, that is a joke. But here we go. Riders are heading on down to the gate here for Moto number 1. Should be a great race here. Obviously, our two big names to be watching out for, Kozak and Ricky Bobby, also known as Rax. Those are our 1 and 2 in the championship. Hawkey, Zeke, Toxic, Brad, Willie, Prizzy, Stargame, Ethan, KFC, Vixnev, Dark, Coltrane, Transcend, Hicklin, Stocky, Brace, and Hayden Balazug, Suey, Rico, Frontera. We also are going to have Adam, H, Carter, Ethan, Max, Rev, SV, Father Kyle, and here we are, special media. So once again, those are going to be our riders here for today. So unfortunately, you can't necessarily give warnings. What we can do as an admin, though, is if somebody's being very reckless, if they're cutting the track, trying to take people out, we can go in and remove them out of it. Additionally, some people just quit and get up and walk away and leave their bike in the middle of the track. We would go in and boot them out. Hopefully we don't have to do that, though. It looks like all the names on the list we have seen each and every week throughout this championship. So we are going to be seeing how things go down. 30-second board is going to be going sideways here in just a few seconds. And we're going to let this gate drop for Moto number 1 here out of Russia for our MXL round number 7. Revs are going up. And who is going to be grabbing the whole shot here for Moto number 1? The gate is down, and here we go. We are going racing as riders come flying down that straightaway into turn 1, and there's going to be some carnage early on. Looks like Hawkey taking that safe route up the inside. He is going to be credited with that whole shot as our man Rax right there in that number 2 position. Zeke on the MXL FXR machine in the number 3 spot. Willie, after a great ride before the break last week, now up into that number 4 position. KFC looking for something out of him this week. Rev as well. We do looks like Brad getting tangled up in there, Rico getting tangled, and a whole bunch of other riders fighting for that inside line. But as we head down Looks like we do have Rax leaping that big triple. That is going to be a line to be watching out for. 250 riders having to go wide to get over the triple. And look at that, Zeke with a mistake. Catches the rear tire going down onto that number 2 spot. Rax up the inside, and he is going to hold on to that number 2 spot just for now. But that SPX Performance KTM rider, Willie, is right there, and he is going to tag the back of Rax. And he's going to go down. So that opens the door. KFC on the CDS Bud KTM ride into that number 3 position now. Hockey, though, still looking strong on this opening lap for the number 1 spot. We're going to be keeping an eye on Hockey here tonight. He has started to catch a flow and going to see if he can get his first. Is it his first, or he may actually have an overall? I'd have to take a look at our standings after the break last week. Hope everybody had a fantastic holiday season. Happy New Year to everyone. And here we go. We get to go racing on January 2nd for the MXL series. What a better way to start off the year with a great battle out here towards the front of this pack. KFC still in that number 3 spot. Do believe Zeke is up and moving again. And yes, he is up in that 4 spot. Glancing just over his shoulder, Ethan looking for a standout ride here today. Willie, though, putting the pressure on. That is going to be that 5th and 6th spot, I do believe. We do have Brad in there on the Bud KTM. Transcend, much better start out of him. Good to see him up towards the front of this pack. We do have Max, Stargame, Bala. We have Kozak, who is buried right now, fighting his way through the traffic. Vixnev on that Ramen Co. KTM right there behind him. Rico, the MXL owner, as well as the series host, going to be running back there. Looks like he is showing. Where is he showing? He may have a lot of cuts. Oh, there he is, 14th. We're going to be keeping an eye on riders, though, as they start to make their way back down towards this start straightaway. These 250s, and if you guys don't know, this whole series is all 250s. So these guys having to push these bikes as hard as they possibly can. And look at that, Hockey railing around the outside, keeping his momentum as he crosses through that turn 1 section. And he needs all the speed he can find, though, as Rax, the man on a mission, is currently closing that gap in little by little. As he now is less than a second off of Hockey. KFC and Zeke starting to battle it out here now for that number 3 spot. Does look like Willie, that SPX Performance rider, starting to clear way, getting around Ethan and starting to catch some clear track. Brad and Transcendo, we're going to have a good battle here. Transcend looking to make a pass here, but Brad is going to slam that door. Both riders around that outside looking for that big triple in. And once again, a lot of these riders, some top aerial pros. You may recognize these names if you've ever watched any of the aerial streams. So definitely keep an eye out on these front few guys as we head into the Supercross season, which is going to be kicking off, I believe, in just like a week or so. A lot of these names will be familiar, whether they're running East Coast, West Coast, that will depend. But a lot of these guys are 450 riders stepping down onto the 250s to take the MXL championship on and see who can be crowned that winner. Last year it was Kozak who got it done for that AEO team on the KTM, currently running in that number 9 spot. That is why he has the number 1 plate here tonight. Oh, Rax getting a little leaned over. Clips that handlebar, slows him down just a tiny bit. Still able to keep a lot of momentum. Zeke, though, man, this man has been on one lately. If you guys caught up with us last week, MXL partnering up with Special Media as well as Hogback Hill Motocross out of Palmyra, New York, put on the King of the Hill event. It was a fantastic race. Some great racing, great battling. Rax ultimately did come out on top and earned the crown as King of the Hill. Make sure you guys keep an eye out, though, as we head into the summertime. Going to have some cool plans. Going to see if we can make that a little bigger of an event. That way we can bring in some more prize pools and see what we can do and bring a little more real life to this MX Bikes game. Are they doing it the week after? I don't know. They always change it, and it's always slightly different. So I'll have to take a look. Maybe during intermission, I'll see when our A1 is going to be. But for now, we do have the battle on track. That is still Hockey in that #1 spot. Still less than a second in front of Rax on that Moto Academy Kawasaki machine. We do have Zeke on the MXL FXR KTM ride, who is slowly closing this gap in. And once again, maybe a kind of a fighter here all the way through the moto, as long as he can keep that bike up on 2 wheels. That is one thing that a lot of these front guys have, is, man, they do not hit the ground very often. We do also have KFC on a great ride here today. Kozak starting to get his name in the mix as Brad and Ethan still battle it out. Kozak looking for an opportunity and has the preferred line here up the inside. Can he make the 2-for-1 stick? No, Ethan is going to slam that door on him, and he is going to have to follow in line as they come into this long roller section, though. Kozak going to dive down to the inside, leaps off that wall, and he is going to get that pass made on Ethan. So once again, Kozak and Rax battling it out for this championship. So every position that Kozak can grab here means that he is not losing any points. And that is definitely crucial as we head towards our final few rounds of this MXL series. Also, if you guys weren't able to take a look at our schedule, what we got coming up is the MXL series. Our final 2 rounds going to be custom made tracks by Fuela that are replica tracks. So I do believe one of them is like 2014 Ironman, I want to say. I may be completely missing that date. As well as I do believe we have another track in there, kind of an older style or older layout, but it is going to be a new track freshly created for this series, or 2 of them freshly created for this series. So super excited to be able to be the announcer and be a part of that. So make sure you guys are keeping an eye out on the shop, keeping an eye on all of the racing announcements through the MXL Discord. Watching Vixnev on an absolute burner as he is still keeping Stargame and Toxic Willie all behind him. Willie must have had a few mistakes. He is now finding himself outside that top 10. Bala there in 12th. Transcend still looking good in that 14th. Frontera. We do also have Coltrane, Prizzy, Hicklin, Dark, and Stocky. That is going to be almost back to 20th. Our man Rika is going to be holding down that 20th spot, and his teammate Sui right there behind him. We'll take a look at some of our other riders. Adam H, Ethan. We do have Max, Carter, and Brayson. And do believe this is going to be our final rider. SV on that LLR Husqvarna ride. And there is Hockey, and where is Rax? There he is. So, man, I don't know what happened, but Hockey sure found some fast lines as he is now 6, almost 7 seconds out in front of the #2 spot of Rax on that Kawasaki machine. KFC now showing in that #3 spot. It is Zeke on track, but KFC does have him on cuts. And with about halfway-ish through this moto, it is going to be Hockey still running strong in that #1 spot. We do have Rax, though, in that #2 position on the Cowie machine. Zeke on the MXL FXR ride in that #3 spot, and KFC on the CDS Bud KTM ride in the 4th. And here he comes, Kozak, the number 1 plate holder, starting to make a charge as he has found his way to the number 5 spot. All the way up into 5th. Last time we checked in, he was fighting it out just to get inside that top 10. And here he is making a difference. Like we talked about, points are everything. And he is really doing what he needs to do, keeping Rax in his sights. And obviously he has a long way to catch up to Rax, but the points is where it matters. We're going to see if we can maybe pull up our championship points on the fly here, see where we're at. There we go. So Kozak currently sitting 9 points in front of Rax. I do believe that's what it is. Yes. So 9 points in. Look at that. Rax hitting the ground, tucks that front end. Zeke now being able to see that number 2 spot. You are going to see some burners out of him. See, can he put the pressure on Rax? Can he force a mistake out of him? It was a bold choice for Rax to not go with the overpowered KTM. As you can see, our whole leaderboard all in orange. But it does look like Kozak bringing Ethan along with him. Ethan definitely been having some rougher rounds throughout the beginning of this season. And here he is closing that gap in on Kozak now. So definitely a better ride out of this man here at AEO MXL. KTM starting to work for him all the way up here in Russia. And look at this. It looks like a mistake out of Rax has put Zeke and KFC in front of him. So that is now going to put our 1 and 2 in the championship right next to each other, 4 and 5. I do believe Hockey is number 3 in points. So this is definitely good if he wants to try and make up some ground. If his 1 and 2 are 4 and 5, and he's able to hold on for this race win, this could be huge for his points gap as we continue to head through the remaining rounds of the season. So we're going to be keeping an eye on where he is and where he may end up here. It does look like a little mistake out of him there. So he is only going to be able to go double into our rollers. Rax leaping that big triple in. This is such a cool line. You can turn this into a little tabletop, hop up and over it, and as you see, Kozak lands right into the berm, stays on the throttle, and right back down the hill. We also have an uphill triple. Very smooth, especially on these 250s. Keep that bike low, stay on the throttle, and a charge around this top corner, up over that finish line jump, as we still have about 10.5 minutes to go here in Moto number 1. If you guys aren't familiar, it is a 2-moto format. So basically, from first back starts at 25, and I believe it goes 25, 23, 21, then I believe it goes 20, 19, 18, and so on. And then whoever has the highest score at the end of both motos takes our overall win. And right now, Hockey doing his job, holding on to that number 1 spot, securing at least 25 points. But as we always say, the race is not over. KFC still in that number 2 spot. It looks like Zeke starting to fall at the pace here just a little bit. Oh, I do apologize. I think that might be... No, that's Hockey. There's KFC. There's Rax, who's going to make the pass stick up the inside. And there is Zeke. So he has fallen off of just a little bit, and Kozak now has him in his sights. Hockey, our race leader, does look like he had a little mistake, as he did open that gap to about 7 seconds. Now back down to about 5.5. Looks like a down rider just at the finish line, able to get past him cleanly. KFC and Rack still duking it out here for that number 2 spot. Great seeing KFC up and moving towards the front of the pack, knowing he belongs up here, but leaves that inside open as Rax is going to put the pressure on here. Both trying to fight for that outside line, and Rax is going to grab that number 2 spot away from him, but I don't think KFC is done as he puts a tack right back on him. A little bit of single file through these corners. Rax keeping the throttle down, grabbing the gears as they rail around the outside of turn number 1. Zeke trying to catch his flow again, get back on the throttle as Kozak is starting to close that gap in little by little as we see Hockey on screen making his way down the hill towards the big triple, and he is opting to go inside. He's going double and then he's doubling in and just bouncing his way through, and look at that, Rax tucks the front end, KFC up over the bars, and now Zeke has an opportunity for a 2-for-1. But as we hear to our left, it is Kozak who is slowly closing this gap, and we are about to have a 4-rider battle for 2nd through 5th. This is going to get interesting. Who is going to hold on to it, and who is going to be able to stick it all the way down to the end? Kozak getting hung up just a little bit here by KFC, allowing Rax and Zeke to open that gap up just a little bit more. Also, too, if you're not very familiar with it, this track does have some, or all of the tracks, but they do have some erode. If you don't know what erode is, basically erosion of the track being kind of ripped away, ruts, if you will. And you can see that darker line around that outside as riders continue to ride over the same spots of the track. It does start to deteriorate and gets gnarlier. If you've never played the game, when you start trying to ride erode, it can actually slow you down quite a bit, especially if your setup is not dialed in for it. As you can see, some of that inside line starting to get chewed out. We're going to see if riders start exploring some new lines. Are they going to have to switch up where they may be at? And look at that, Rax hitting that triple from the middle line. Seeing everybody go all the way around the outside to hit that. We're going to have to see if we can catch up with him on the next lap here. Rax still holding strong in that number 2 spot. Zeke right there behind him. KFC and Kozak still duking it out there for that number 4 and 5 position as we come across our finish line. 6 minutes to go here in Moto number 1. It is going to be Hockey still running away with this one, an 11-second lead over some of the fastest guys in this game. Zeke and Rax going at it for our number 2 spot. KFC and Kozak for the 4 and 5. Ethan on that AEO MXL ride. He is going to be a ways back here in no man's land. In that 6th position, we do have Toxic and Willie going at it there for 7th and 8th position. Vixnev just behind them, as well as Stargame. That is rounding out that top 10. We do have Bala. I don't know exactly how to say his name. Looks like he might have a lot of cuts. There is Dark, who is going to be running on that Motoculture KTM in 11th. We do have Coltrane on the AEO KTM machine in 12th. Frontera on the AEO ride there in 13th. Transcend looking good out here in 15th. We do have Sui. I believe that is going to be Hicklin, and SV, I believe, is a lap down. Prizzy from the Leon, Brad on that Bud, Stocky, Hockey. Oh, Hockey already lapping his way through here. Holy cow. There is Brayson there in 20th. Oh, and look at this. Kozak has made the pass on Zeke and KFC. And just as we say it, Kozak cartwheeling down the hill, and Zeke is able to grab that position back. And look at this. Ethan just been riding a great moto. We were just talking how he was in the middle of nowhere and now may have a tow from KFC here if he can close up that gap just a little bit more and stay on track there as he almost goes over the bars. Toxic, though, up over that big step up, running in that 8th position, still has Willie, who is slowly closing that gap in on him. Star Game and Vixnev just out behind him. And here is Hockey just at the bottom of the hill. I believe that is the Savage triple. I think that's the brand there, but here we go. Rax down to the inside, choosing to go double. Looks like Zeke is going to follow suit there. Kozak railing around the outside, leaps that triple in. And KFC goes for that middle line too, and he gets that. There's a big jump from that middle line there on a 250. Cannot let off. Great ride here out of Zeke. Still showing 3rd on our leaderboards as Kozak trying to apply the pressure, but Zeke not having any issues with it as of right now. KFC just behind these guys in that number 5 position, and it does look like they may have lost Ethan just for a little while, but don't count him out. Still 2.5 minutes to go. Anything can happen. But as we look over his shoulder, look who is lurking in the background. Toxic here on the MXL machine. He is slowly closing that gap in. A couple more mistakes out of our top 5, and he could be finding himself in a battle towards the end of this moto. Just kind of panning through some of our other riders. There's Coltrane up over that step up. We're going to probably see Frontera up over the triple, throwing it sideways. Transcend as well, up and over. Frylock, what is going on, brother? Appreciate the sub there, man. Let's go. There is Hicklin, still running strong. Suey. We also have Brad, not the greatest of rides here tonight, but still a decent ride. Stocky, and there is Hockey, and holy cow, the 4.5 second difference. Rax has been putting an absolute burner on, and as a lot of these guys fight their way through some of the lap traffic, it is going to be crucial to not let Rax get close enough to make something happen here. And Frylock, what is going on, man? Hope you had a fantastic holiday season. As we head into the new year, getting it kicked off with some MXL racing. Kozak has made the pass on Zeke, and now Zeke having his hands full with KFC. It does not like the pressure, and he is going to crack. He goes down. Allows KFC around him, and that is going to put him from 3rd all the way back to 5th in just a few corners. It is Branson is Brayson is a lapped rider in that mix, but we are going to come out here and try and find our race leader. There he is fighting through some of this lap traffic. 12 seconds on the clock, so guessing he is going to be grabbing white flag here. A couple riders making some mistakes. Hockey trying to fight his way through there. And this is going to be white flag for our AEO MXL rider. White flag is out, with a 4-second lead over that number 2 spot of Rax on the Moto Academy Kawasaki ride. As long as Hockey doesn't get tangled up, I think he will have this, but once again, anything can happen in this game. Hockey choosing to take a different line. Not riding right behind some of our lapped riders. He's going to push up to the outside here, give Prizzy plenty of room, because that is the last thing you want. Get tangled up with a lapped rider on the final lap. Hockey has been almost perfect, grabs the whole shot, has led almost every single lap, if not all. And look at that, Rax is right there. He has given it everything he has. They've opened that gap up from Kozak as he is in that number 3 spot. Rax diving down to the inside, looking to make the pass around the lapped rider here, as we just have a handful of turns left. 2.9 second difference of Hockey and Rax is letting it all hang out here down to the inside line. He has loved that line all night long. Up over the triple with one final turn to go. Hockey on the AEO MXL ride comes across the line and gets it done here in Moto number 1. And Rax right there behind him. Great ride. 2.4 off of him for that number 2 spot. Is still going to gain points over Kozak, who comes across the line there in 3rd. We are going to be keeping an eye. There is Zeke across the line, and he is going to get KFC. So that is Zeke in 4th, KFC in 5th. Should have Ethan next up on our lead lap. There he is. Much better performance out of this man. He is not going to be too mad about a 6th spot. Bracing a lapped rider in there. There is Toxic, the MXL MCC rider. Also, I think our only Husqvarna rider, Star Game, following him in. That is going to be 7th and 8th. SV, a lapped rider in there. Still taking that 21st spot. Dark, Vixnev, and Bala across the line. I do believe Bala was a lap down in there as well. We do have Coltrane on that AEO KTM ride across for the 11th spot. Frontera and Transcend duking it out down to the wire. It is going to be Frontera crossed for the 12th, Transcend in the 13th. And believe we may have 1 or 2 riders left on our lead lap. And there's Hockey taking a joyride. Sui, though, our last rider on our lead lap here, as he is making his way down through this final section over the single, up the big uphill triple. And here he comes, Sui across the line, and our race winner on his victory lap there. And that is going to do it for us there in Moto number 1. I'm going to go ahead and grab a quick screenshot of this. Keep this over here. And we are going to go ahead and set our camera back down here towards the starting gate and see what we got going on. Everybody's going to be grabbing just a quick drink of water. I do know MXL likes to keep things moving right along. We're not going to be taking too long of an intermission. The track does not get prepped, so all of that track stays the way it was, just the way we left it. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Once again, that E-Road can cause and wreak some havoc on a lot of riders. So it is something to always be mindful of as we head into Moto 2 is, can these guys continue that pace and not make any mistakes, as well as also could somebody else get a good start and start to become a contender towards the front of this pack. We do know of a couple of these guys. Willie retiring out of there in Moto 1. He is someone that can run and win motos, so we'll have to see if he can get it done. I'm going to grab a couple sips of water here, so be right back with us. Don't you guys go anywhere. All right, and welcome back as we get ready for Moto number 2. Riders are heading on down to our gate. Take a quick pan across, see who we got. That is going to be Rax on that very inside gate. Kozak just to his left. Do look like we got Zeke, Hockey, Brad, Star Game. Who else we got all in here? There's a whole bunch of riders. It's always hard to see their names like this. We do also have Vixnev in there. Has been running really great lately. And some few riders out here on the outside. Looks like Rico grabbing that very, very outside gate. Gonna see what he can do with that one. But we're gonna go ahead, pan our camera back here to turn number 1 as we get ready to go racing here for Moto number 2 of our MXL World Pro Championship. There's that 30-second board going sideways. Revs are going up. Who is grabbing our whole shot here for Moto number 2? Gate is down and we are going racing. And riders piling in here to turn number 1. Looks like Hockey using the inside of that track. And he is going to be credited with the whole shot once again in that number 1 spot. Brad, though, leaping into the tabletop as he is trying to grab that number 1 spot away quickly. It is going to be Vixnev in that number 3 position. And Rax there trying to battle it out. It looks like Vixnev comes up short, gets tangled up with Frontera. And it is absolute carnage there. Whole bunch of riders getting all tangled up. There it is. Hockey, Brad, and Rax all right there in the mix. Kozak, I believe, is not too far behind these guys. Yes, there he is. Transcend, a much better start out of him. Willie, Zeke, Brayson, Stargame, Stocky, Carter, Dark. And there is Rico bringing up the rear. Oh, no, we do have one rider here, SV at the back, bringing up the rear. And we're going to slide back to the front of this pack here, though. Hockey with a decent-sized cut there. That is definitely going to hurt him towards the end of this moto. Cutting the track like that does give you a penalty that accounts for your overall race time and can put you behind a rider if you're not careful. Take a look as riders make their way past the mechanics area. Seeing them all sticking those pit boards out, giving their riders updates on what they got going on. Look at that. KFC and Willie get tangled up on the straightaway, and that is going to collect a couple more riders. Hinkland going to get tangled up in that as well. Currently, we do have Rax and Hockey. This was 1 and 2 in Moto 1. Now currently Rax leading this moto. Both diving down to that inside line, staying low, going double and leaping for that next double. And there you can see that KTM just has that power that the Cowie doesn't. But the Cowie does have some great suspension. So gonna see if Rax can use that to his advantage as we continue. And look at that line there. Rax jumping into that turn, able to open that gap up just a little bit more. Brad in that number 3 spot. Bala there in the 5th. I do apologize. Brad in the 4th. And there is Kozak. So Kozak must have had a little mistake. Falls back just a little bit, but able to regroup. Brad hitting the ground. And Rax needs to keep the pressure on, stay on the throttle here, and try and run away from the man Hockey, who is not easily one to outpace. As I do believe if Rax wins this would be, I want to say, his 3rd or 4th overall win. But just trying to take a quick glance over, I do believe he's got about 3 right now, maybe 2. This would be his 3rd. but it is Rax currently running in that number 1 spot, Hockey in that number 2 position, and there is Kozak in the number 3. So probably our 3 fastest guys on track, all 1, 2, and 3. We do also have Bala in there in 4th, Willie, Zeke. I believe that might have been Stargame. Yes, it is. Brad, a much better start running in that 8th position. There's Ethan, Toxic, Vixnev having some issues here on the early moto. Coltrane and Dark battling it out there. Stocky on that Waxed Racing Co. KTM ride. And look at this, Rax opening that gap up tremendously. Looks like Hockey may have had a mistake there in that bottom turn. And now Kozak, the number 1 plate, now all over the rear tire of Hockey. Oh, and Hockey almost over the bars is somehow able to hold on to that one. Kozak absolutely flying here today. Has started from the back in Moto 1 and was able to charge all the way up to a 3rd position. So with a better start here, we are going to see, can he pressure the front 2 enough for any of those positions? Even if he is able to get around Kozak, he is really not losing that many points to Rax here tonight. And believe he would still hold on to, yes, he definitely would hold on to that red plate heading into our final 2 rounds. Or 3 rounds. Yeah, 3 rounds. If I take a quick look here, it looks like we have the Czech Republic next week. And then we have the Fuela tracks, the 2011 Freestone. And I do apologize, I was a year off, 2015 Ironman. So those are going to be our final 2 rounds. But we do still have to head out to the Czech Republic for round number 8 after this one. And that one's going to be a fun race. A lot of challenging parts of that track. And especially to see what Fuela cooks up for us for our final 2 rounds. Look at that, Rax choosing that middle line now. So getting out of some of that gnarly E-road. Just trying to find some smooth ground. Kozak still trying to put the pressure on Hockey. But he is not cracking so far. Bala there in that number 4 spot. Do believe we have Willie Stargame, and was Brad who is going to go down there. Zeke able to grab that position away for that 6th spot. Ethan there in 9th. There is Toxic, and there is KFC. KFC going to be looking to try and mount a charge here. Frontera, much better start here as well. So he is heading in the right direction. Adam, Carter, Hicklin, and Stocky. We do also have Dark, Sui, Brayson, and Transcend all battling it out there. That is back to, I believe, 20th, 21st. I believe we have one more rider on track there, and look at that, Rax going down. That is definitely going to hurt him. He needs to get back up and moving as here comes Hockey and Kozak. Oh, and Hockey goes down, gets tangled up in some of that E-road, and that is definitely going to be beneficial for Kozak here as he is able to move himself into that number 2 spot pretty much clean as can be, and now has his eyes set on this man right here on the Kawasaki. If Kozak is able to get him, today would be a wash on points, I do believe. And for Kozak, that would be huge. Starting outside the top 10 in Moto 1 to coming back to just tying the points here with Rax for round 7 is an absolute win in my book. It is Kozak still using that outside line to go triple in. The rest of the fleet, it looks like, have all gone to the inside and just double-double. We do still have about 15 and a half minutes to go here in Moto number 2. Bala still running good there in the number 4 spot. We do have Willie, Stargame, and Zeke. That is looking back to that 7th. There's Brad in the 8th, Ethan 9th. Toxic battling it out with KFC still. That is 10th and 11th. And that is crazy to see KFC and Toxic all the way back in 10th and 11th position. It just shows how stacked our front few riders are. And here we have Rax making his way down that start straight. There is Kozak and Hockey. Bala is Aqua's. Okay, fair. I'm gonna as admin, I'm gonna start kicking people that use aliases. You know how annoying it is to call Rax Ricky Bobby. And it does look like Rax may have... He's running in 4th. Ain't nothing to hide about that. It drives me nuts because I look at points and I don't see Bala. But it does look like he's riding good. But talking about riding good, though, our man Rax out here in that number 1 spot. Hockey in that number 2 position now. Kozak must have had a mistake as he has fallen now back behind Hockey. Willie, much better ride out of him. Retired out of Moto 1, running up inside the top 5, top 6. Looks like Stargame may have him on cuts there. Aqua's making a mistake, though, falling off the pace, and he is going to be falling back to about the 6th spot. There is Zeke in the 7th position. So I believe if it were to end like this, Rax would gain 6 points, I believe, on Kozak, if my math is correct. And so if that's the case, we would have a 3-point difference in our championship heading into our final few rounds. But with 12.5 minutes to go, Kozak still has plenty of time to make something happen. Could also be the other way as well. So he cannot let off the pressure here. Needs to get around Hockey once again. As always, though, huge shout out to all the sponsors of tonight's stream. You guys can check out all of their Discord links in my Twitch chat. If you guys also want to see anything or have any access to what those guys post or see any of the race announcements or stream announcements, make sure you guys join up on the special media Discord as well. We have a lot of cool stuff. Nothing too crazy. But it is always cool to kind of check it out, take a look, and see any of their announcement pages are all tabbed to the special media page. So you guys can kind of keep an eye on all of the sponsors and all of the racing action that we have going on week in and week out. We were keeping an eye on Rax there, but here is the battle. Kozak and Hockey side by side, 2 different lines here. Kozak going the triple in, Hockey doubles, and it does look like that outside triple in is slightly faster, but Hockey still keeping that pressure on. Hockey picking up on that inside line from Rax there, starting to work it into his line. It looks like they break about even coming up the hill. And Rax just seems to have that line absolutely dialed as he jumps about halfway to that inside berm. Little switchback downhill for these riders. A little challenging at times, but both riders make their way through clean this time. As we make our way to the halfway mark, this is about to get interesting as Hockey slowly closing that gap in. Kozak trying to defend the inside line. They actually do come together just a little bit. Look how rough that outside line's got. Kozak does not get a good drive through there. Looks like Hockey gonna move to that middle line looking for some smooth ground. These guys starting to check out from the rest of the pack. Next rider on our list is going to be the man Willie. It looks like he does have quite a bit of cuts, as Star Game shows on our leaderboard. Same thing with Aquas. Another decent gap back to our man Zeke. Not the ride he was looking for here in Moto 2, but definitely will take it. There is Brad and Ethan up the big triple KFC as well. And nobody in sight for a while. Looks like we may have Toxic and Dark tangled up in the turn. That it opens the door, allows Frontera to go by both of them. I believe we're going to have Race and Adam transcend. Oh, and that is going to be Hicklin going down there on that MRC KTM ride. And the man on a mission, that is going to be Rax, the Moto Academy rider, in that #1 spot, still running strong. Kozak has made that pass stick and is starting to pull away from Hockey here as we make it into the later half of Moto 2. Hockey still keeping him honest, not letting him get too far ahead. 1, 2, and 3 all still in kind of the same section here, so one mistake could definitely change the outcome of this race. And once again, if you're Rax, you're looking to hold on to that #1 spot, gain any points you can against the very fast Kozak. And this is Moto 2. Oh, and Hockey is going to tuck the front there. Gets stuck on the rut just a little bit. And man, that is just what we were talking about. That little mistake can give up so much time, as he has to now get on the gas to try and catch up to the rest of the pack. Hey, and let's go. Rico with the gifted sub. Appreciate it, brother. Aquas and Star Game battling it out here. That is going to be for that #4 spot. Appreciate the sub, brother. Zeke looks like he's starting to struggle just a little bit. Brad having some issues of his own, and Ethan, not the ride that he was looking for. Still not awful, though, comparatively to what we've seen in the earlier rounds from him. So definitely keeping that bike up inside the top 10 is crucial for him here tonight. Frontera there in that 10th and final spot. There is Dark. Transcend in the 13th. There is Toxic showing 12th on our leaderboard. Adam H and Brayson there. And believe Hicklin, the MRC rider, is the last one on our lead lap. And here he comes. There is Rax. 6 minutes to go. 12, almost 13-second gap over the rest of the field here. And he is absolutely putting the burners on, trying to run away from this man right here, Kozak, that #1 plate holder and red plate holder. on the AEO machine. And look at this. Willie has caught Hockey. Willie must have a lot of cuts, though, as he still shows that he's in 6th. There is Aqua's back up into that number 4 spot. Star Game, the MXL rider, in 5th. Zeke there on the MXL FXR machine in 7th. We do have Brad on that Bud KTM in 8th. Ethan on that AEO MXL in 9th. We're going to keep an eye on Rax here for just a lap or so. See what he is doing differently than the rest of these riders. Obviously, he is doing faster lap times with continuing to pull away from the rest of this field. Dives down to that inside line. It goes double all the way through there. Able to hop up and over, grabs the inside line, stays on the throttle, and this is that inside hop line. Kind of jumps down into the rut, gets right back on the gas, gets the bike turned and back up the hill. That is a very fast line that he has found and mastered, I should say. It looks like Hockey was able to match it, but just not quite as consistent. There's Rax moving to a couple different lines, going not necessarily the inside to inside, sliding a line over just to try and find some smooth ground. Still taking the main line through here. Hopping down main line once again. As you can see, those lines are getting absolutely destroyed. Actually looking like we're getting some decent ruts as well. But look at that. Just able to corner that Kawasaki. Absolutely perfect. 17.8 second gap there in just one lap. He was able to gain almost 4 seconds on the rest of the field. Kozak, though, still holding strong in that number 2 spot. It is going to be Hockey in the number 3, but it looks like he may have picked up some more cuts, which is not helping his case. Willie on that SPX Performance up into the 5th position now, still trying to run away from Star Game enough to compensate for some of those cuts. Fantastic ride out of Star Game. 8th in Moto 1, looking to double that for the better, as he is now showing in 4th. Zeke is able to make the pass on his teammate Aqua's there, and there is Brad as well grabbing that extra position. Ethan also looking to get it. Another spot. It is a drag race, looking over his shoulder. He is going to grab that position away from Aqua's. Stargame has been running very fast laps. It is always unfortunate, though. He's always buried. And look at this. Hockey is slowly closing this gap in back to Kozak. Once again, I do believe Hockey has quite a bit of cuts here that he may have gotten from some off-track excursions, but he does have Kozak in his sights and could put on a battle here for that number 2 spot, at least on track, or hope for a mistake. Obviously, being the defending champion, he does not make many of them, but the opportunities are always there, especially on a track that is as rough as this one. We have about a minute and a half to go. Rax making his way up the big uphill triple. Most likely going to be grabbing white flag on his next time through, if I'm not mistaken. Once again, Rax has been absolutely on fire, looking good here, and continuing to just charge forward and fight through this championship. Has had some off motos, has had some bad starts, but is still able to consistently put his name up onto the podium and show that he does belong in that number one spot. Although it's not the huge points gain that he wanted here tonight, it is definitely a step in the right direction as we continue through the season with only 3 rounds left. And Rax just putting on a clinic here in Moto 2. Has a 21-second lead over the rest of this field, and you can see there is nobody near him. There is Kozak and Hockey battling it out there up the big triple. Kozak still using that outside line to triple in. Hockey scrubs, stays low, tries to get that double-double. But indeed, we are going to get white flag. There he is. Rax able to grab the white flag on his final lap here towards the overall. Consistency is key at a lot of these tracks, and Rax is surely showing it. As he makes his way down that start straight for the final time here tonight. Look at that outside rut getting absolutely destroyed. If you saw the track prior, it looked like what it is about a foot to the inside of the turn. You can see that is a pretty deep rut all the way around this outside line. So these riders having to stay pretty connected to their bikes. You see Brayson just going off the side of it, losing some focus. Adam H is going to follow him. But Hockey able to rail that corner. He is now in front of Kozak. But we're going to have to see if the cuts are going to matter. There is a 7-second difference right now. Can Hockey put the burners on? Can he run away with this one? Or is Kozak going to hold on for that number 2 spot? If you're this man right here, you're hoping that he does get him. Up and over the final triple. With 1 turn to go, the Moto Academy rider has a fantastic ride here today and stays consistent enough to get it done here and the overall for round number 7 of the MXL Pro Championship. So Rax getting the 2-1 for the 1 overall here tonight. Here comes Hockey as he makes his way towards this finish line. Needs to just stay as smooth as he can. He is going to come across the line for that number 2 spot down to the wire. Hockey is not able to hold on to it. Kozak grabs the number 2 spot. Hockey in the number 3. Do believe Willie, there he is, backing it up across the finish line. Stargame grabs the number 4 spot, and I don't know if Willie crossed the line. Brad crossed in 5th, and no, Willie did not cross. Zeke and Ethan, that is going to be for 6th and 7th there. Aqua's across the line on the new controller for 8th. Toxic across for 9th. Dark going to grab that 10th spot. Believe Transcend, did he stay on the main lap? We're going to see as he comes across the line, throws the backflip. Not quite close enough to get it to stick, but that is going to be a solid 11th spot for Transcend here tonight. And I do believe that is going to be all of our riders on track. Looks like Hockey just out on a joyride. And I do believe that is going to do it for us here in Moto number 2. Some great riding. As always, we are going to ask our top 3 our podium finishers. If you would like to join us up for a podium speech, you guys don't have to. We just always like to offer it up for you guys. Kind of shout out those sponsors and everything that you guys got going on. Talk about the moto a little bit. We're going to kick things on back down to the booth here as we continue to wrap things up here for tonight. As always, huge shout out to all of the sponsors, everybody that's all putting this whole show together. Obviously, you guys see Gru the Gangsta, that is the man Rico, who hosts and puts everything all together. So huge shout out to that man. He does an absolutely fantastic job with everything he does. Obviously, him and the whole MXL crew do an amazing job. TPR, AB Customs, THV, CBS, VM Visuals, and Club MX, the title sponsor of Special Media. Club has been absolutely phenomenal to work with. If you guys have ever been down there, they run an absolutely fantastic facility. On top of that, they're a great group of guys. If you've talked to any of the riders, any of the coaches, or anybody that's a part of the organization, they do such an amazing job. If you guys ever find yourself down in the Southeast, check out Chesterfield, South Carolina. That is where Club is located. Stop on in, even if you just want to see what the place looks like. Make sure you guys do. It is really cool. As you drive up the road, there's signs. It's a whole compound. So make sure you guys go check it out. If you guys do make your way out there, make sure you guys let them know that Special Media sent you, and find Mike Bonacci. He is the man that gets everything done out there. We're going to take a look to see if anybody is joining us here tonight. I usually don't see many, but we will have to see. I don't think we got anybody joining us. We'll take a look at our final overall results here in just a quick second. Once again, we know Rax won the overall, but curious to see. I believe, let's see here. Overall results. So we are going to have our man Rax grabbing that number 1 spot here tonight. Hockey is going to grab the number 2 spot, and that is going to be Kozak grabbing the number 3. So a 5-point difference. So 4 points separate our 1 and 2. Kozak is going to hold on to that that red plate here for another week, but Rax is really starting to put that pressure on and see if he is going to be able to get it done for this overall championship. Can he take that number 1 spot away from our man Kozak? Join the MXL. It's such a pain that I have to like reorganize it to point to them. But once again, appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out. As you guys already know, we're going to continue this through 3 more weeks every Friday. Make sure you guys are stopping in. Make sure you guys check out the MXL Discord. Check out the Special Media Discord. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys do. Outside of that, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whatever it may be. Also, have a great weekend. Stay safe and enjoy the new year. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Peace.